valuation first. So then we'll be moving to the asset classes, talking about the purpose, talking about the prerogatives which are required for doing the valuation, the service lines, and more from the BD perspective, how we can pitch it to the clients and what are the eminent opportunities which emerge out of it. So let us talk about the valuation in general first. So valuation, when we say, it means of computing the economic value of any business or a company unit. So valuation may be required for various purposes, say investment analysis one is doing a fundraising, mergers, acquisition, sale of a business, any kind of a strategic business decision, or for any kind of a compliance requirement, financial reporting, transactional valuation, and all. When we talk about valuation, we need to have a clear understanding between the word value and the price. So when we say price, suppose you're buying any entity, so price is basically the amount at which any of an asset, say your tangible or intangible asset, is bought or sold in an open market in a particular transaction. However, hello, value is indicating the worth of an asset. So you might buy a property at a price, say 5 crores. But in today's scenario, the price has depreciated, the value has depreciated. So that is the distinction between the price and the value. The company may require the valuation for different perspectives. So it is very much required to understand the purpose of valuation when we are pitching to any client. So we need to ask him the first question, so what is the purpose of valuation? There we classify these purposes into 4 broader categories. Whether it could be for a transactional purpose, say a business combination, any kind of a merger, any kind of a disinvestment, etc. Then he may say that he requires a valuation for a financial reporting. So valuations for Ind AS, your fairness opinion, purchase price allocation, impairment, ESOP, and all. A compliance. Now, when we talk about compliances, there are 3 compliances that we need to follow: a Companies Act, Income Tax Act, and RBI or the FEMA guidelines. And the 4th would be for the court purposes. So wherein it is for litigation, arbitration, dispute resolution, and all. Talking about the asset classes in valuation, we broadly classified into 2 major assets. One is a tangible and one is an intangible assets. So tangible assets is anything like land, building, plant, machinery, any kind of an asset valuation, which can be touched and felt. And intangible would be your securities, financial assets, derivatives, bonds, and all. Now let us go gradually through each of the service line where we'll be discussing the valuation perspective for it. So initially we'll talk about a valuation, we pitch valuation, business valuations, where we do a lot of valuations pertaining to the shares, which is a very common requirement by most of the companies. So there could be a valuation of shares for the which are already listed. There could be the valuation of unquoted shares, which we do. Then there is valuation for the AIFs. So for AIFs, it is very much required, and as stated by the SEBI Alternative Investment Fund Regulation 2012, all the AIFs are supposed to provide a description of its valuation procedures at least once in every 6 months. So the AIFs are one of the targets for audience for us for pitching valuation. Apart from that, we also do a lot of valuations pertaining to brands, intangible assets, IPR, which is your intellectual property rights. So anything pertaining to patents, copyrights, technical know-how, franchisee agreement fall under the valuation of the intangible assets. Then we do the valuations for industrial assets, plants, machinery. We also do a lot of valuations for the real estate. So any of your residential, commercial property, retail spaces, shopping malls, IT parks, SEZ, special properties. We do the valuation of the real estate. We also carry out a lot of evaluations pertaining to the Ind AS or the financial reporting perspective. So there we do the valuations for your impairment testing. We do it for purchase price allocation, fairness opinion, and all. We also do a lot of valuations for ESOPs and sweat equity. So whenever say any of the client is ESOP is basically, let me just get you through what is an ESOP. So ESOP is a plan which a company awards as a stock option to the employees as a performance. So for that, they need to determine the price at which the ESOP could be sold. So again, we do the valuation of the ESOPs and even for the tax purposes also. Then we do provide financial advisories to the law firms for any kind of disputes, litigation aspect, then computation of the loss, doing the loss assessment, damage analysis and all. We also do provide valuation for the transfer pricing cases and all. So valuation for capital gains, tax restructuring, valuation for any kind of a cross-border transaction, valuation for purchase price allocation, share swap ratio, slump sale transactions and all. Various kinds. We also provide valuations for the startups. Now, most of the startups, they come to us thinking that they're raising an equity or any investment and they need the valuation. So we prominently assist them and we have a lot of credentials with them. We also provide valuations under the insolvency and the bankruptcy board. So this is your fair and liquidation value which we talk about. So under the IBBI, the IRPs or the RPs are supposed to nominate at least 2 independent valuers for doing the fair and the liquidation valuation of the corporate debtor. So this will cover the valuation of your tangible as well as the intangible assets. Whenever we are speaking to any client, like I mentioned, we need to talk to him about, apart from pitching the service lines, we need to understand from him the purpose of the valuation, right? Now, the valuation has been unregulated for many years, and gradually the government wanted to, make it a regulated one, and that is how they came out with the concept of the registered valuers. Now, as per under all the valuations with effect from February 1, 2019, all the valuations which are required under the Companies Act 2013 or the IBC code, Insolvency in the Bankruptcy Code 2016, would be done through our registered valuers. So we need to understand well what is the distinction between a registered valuer as well as a merchant banker. So to gain an understanding of that, we need to just know that the person, what is the purpose of the valuation and under what compliance the client needs the valuation. So any valuation which falls under the prerogative of Companies Act, IBC, would require a registered valuer, and anything which falls under income tax or FEMA, RBI guidelines would need a merchant banker valuation. So say if a company is issuing a fresh share, right, and the company needs the valuation for the income tax purpose, then the valuation would be done by a SEBI registered category 1 merchant banker. Under the RBI or the FEMA guidelines, when it's an FDI transaction, so there again, it could be a SEBI registered merchant banker who can do the valuation, or it could be a CA with 10 years of experience. And for the ODI transaction, where the transaction is more than $5 billion, or it is the valuation for it has to be done by the SEBI registered merchant banker. So there are various regulations which the government has notified, which states that where all the valuations would be required whenever it is talks about.
Just one thing I just wanted to add here, just to understand what is FDI and what is ODI. All people may not be knowing. So FDI is when foreign direct investment, when investment is coming in. That is when Indian company is being acquired by some overseas investor. And ODI is overseas direct investment, wherein an Indian company is buying a company overseas. So this is the basic difference between FDI and ODI. Many of you may be knowing.
Okay.
Please continue.
Okay. So whenever there is any issuance of shares, the company needs the valuation. Whenever there is any arrangement of the non-cash transaction involving the directors, the company needs the valuation. Whenever there is a scheme of corporate debt restructuring, the company needs the valuation. Any kind of a business combination, any scheme of compromise arrangement, the company would be needing the valuations. So there is an exit to the minority shareholder, again a valuation is required. So issue of the sweat equity shares, again a valuation is required. Any kind of receiving a deposits, again the valuation is required. So valuation is required in many of the instances. And even for the SEBI regulations under say issue of the capital and the disclosure requirement, again a valuation would be required. Say SEBI appointment of administration procedure for refunding the investors, a valuation is required. SEBI listing obligations, disclosure requirement for which the dates have been extended, again a valuation report is required along with the NAV disclosures. So SEBI, you talk about real estate investment trust regulation, the valuation of assets is required where we target the tangible assets.
Pawanji wants to say something, let him speak.
Sir, what is important to know is, see, we are category 1 merchant banker, and so many places valuation is required. What is important is where we have a monopoly and where we are competing with the chartered accountants. That distinction in my mind is important to understand.
So this will be explained during the this particular session. Don't worry, it is very much there. So she will be telling you exactly when a merchant banker is required, when a chartered accountant is required, when anybody can do it. So if you want, I can summarize in a way, right? So she told you that there are 4 kinds of valuations, right? One is transactional, the other is compliance, the third is court case, and fourth is financial reporting. So except for compliance, other things, any expert can do it, because no, it is not written anywhere in the law. Now for compliance, Companies Act and IBC, some part of SEBI, administration and other, registered valuer, no one else. RBI, FDI and ODI, different. FDI, either a CA can do it or a merchant banker can do it. ODI, if it is more than 5 million, it will be merchant banker. If it is less than 5 million, merchant banker or CA. If the foreign company is being acquired through swap of shares, only merchant banker. Income tax, fresh issuance of shares has to be a merchant banker. Then what else? ESOPs, perquisite taxation has to be a merchant banker. Then again, accounting or financial reporting, as I already told you, anybody can do it. There is a chart which she will share with you. Supriya, you can share the chart with everyone that
Sure.
where it is required and who can do it. So
Sure,
I've just tried to summarize it.
Yeah. So basically, whenever we want to speak to the client regarding whether it's an RB or MB, like Suresh said, we need to understand the purpose, like whether it's for compliance, whether it's for financial reporting, whether it's for transaction, because that is how the bifurcation would be laid down, whether it would be an RB or it would be a merchant banker. So I'd be sharing that chart. So like suppose recently, I'll give you an example. Now let us do it by citing the cases. We received a request from a client wherein he wanted the valuation for the perquisite taxation. So let us do it case wise. Sudhir sir?
Ma'am, it is your field. You want to do whatever way, please go ahead.
So the company, the overseas company has issued certain ESOPs to the employees
have a
across the
question.
globe. And they needed the valuation to determine the fair market value certificate for calculating the perquisite taxation. So here the valuation falls under the prerogative, like it's a taxation. So income tax perspective, the compliance being income tax. So it is the merchant banker who will be doing it. Hello. So likewise, we have been doing the valuation. Now, when we talk about the
If
valuation,
somebody wants to ask a question, he has to raise a hand first, please. Just try to maintain discipline here. Like Pavanji raised a hand, so his question was answered. And for the time being, unless the question is very urgent, please don't ask, because I think, as I told you, 5 questions I will be able to answer. What, why, who, how, and when. So believe my words, all these 5 questions will be answered during the course of this. If it is not answered, then you can write a mail to me, or during the end of the session, we can discuss that. We are running short of time today. We have a webinar, so I think we have to close by 10:30 or 35 as Amit has requested us. Please.
so just to summarize back again, the service lines that we provide, we do the business valuations, we do the valuation for the business combination, fairness opinion, ESOP, INDAS, RBI valuation, impairment study, valuations for the AIS, valuation for the startups, valuation for purchase price allocations, IPR, and all. And then again, the purpose of valuation. These two things we need to approve. Now coming down to approaches of the valuations. Basically, there are 3 internationally accepted approaches for the valuation: the cost or the asset approach, the market approach, and the income approach. So we'll be talking in detail about each of the approaches just for an understanding for the perspective of pitching to the clients. So when we talk about a cost-based approach, it's basically an asset-based approach, wherein we need to consider the business as a set of assets and liabilities. So here we would either use a realizable value basis or a replacement cost method to calculate the cost approach, or an adjusted net asset method. Moving to the second approach, which is a market-based approach. Now, in this method, value is determined by comparing the subject, which would be your company, with its peers in the same industry, of the same size, of the same region, and all. So here it is basically a relative valuation method, where we resort to the comparables. So the easiest method is easiest to use when there are comparable companies which are available in the market to be used. So market approach would only come into existence when we have the comparables available in the market. So we may resort to a comparable company market multiples method, comparing the EBITDA, the EBIT, EPS, and all. Or we may resort to a comparable transactions multiples method. The third approach which we basically resort to is an income approach. So this is the approach which we basically use for most of the organizations, wherein we either it is based on the premises that the current value of any business is based on the future value that the company is going to derive. So here we either resort to a capitalization of an earning method, or we resort to a DCF method. Most of this is where which we have been using for most of the startups, a DCF free cash flow method, wherein we know that the startups in the earlier stages will not be able to chunk the revenue. So we take the projections from them for the future cash flows for the next 5 years, and we discount it to the present value by applying a discount rate. So this is very much important, because a startup would ask you a methodology with respect to how you're going to value their businesses. So we can, in layman terms, tell them we understand the environment for the startups. We understand that the initial stages, there won't be any of the revenue. So we go by the projections method, applying the DCF method under the income approach method. Apart from these 3 approaches, we have been resorting to the various other models like option pricing one, wherein it is used to calculate a call or a put option. So this is one which we have been applying for the calculation or valuation of the complex instruments like ESOP, your OCPS, FCCDs, patents, etc. So here we resort to either a Black-Scholes model, binomial model, or a backsolve. Most commonly acceptable is a Black-Scholes model that we have been implementing. So this was about the approaches. Now, whenever we are pitching to a client, we need to understand from him few of the considerations. Apart from the purpose of the valuation, we also need to understand for him what is the valuation date that the client speaks to us. The other question which he asked us is, what are the documents that you need for the valuation? So there is a defined set of the documents which we request for any kind of valuation engagement. First is the company profile, the shareholding pattern if it's a limited company, then the purpose of the valuation, which identifies the scope of the valuation, then the compliance for which he needs the valuation, whether it is an income tax perspective, Companies Act and all, then the projections for the next 5 years, the audited financial statements of the company for the last 2 years, the provisionals for the current financial years. So this is a basic checklist of the documents that we request the client to provide to us at the time of undertaking any valuation engagement. Any queries? Anyone? Anyone, any queries?
Supriya ji, I do have a query.
Yes, sir.
When we are talking about valuation, so as we being engaged in valuation of companies from IBBI perspective also, and as a merchant banker as a merchant banker also. So are we taking any assignments on the basis of this IBBI assignments? Are we taking right now?
Darshan, your answer is yes. We are, trying to get assignments from various IPs, number one. But there is one condition which is there.
Mm-hmm.
Unless the company is very good, we are insisting on at least getting a 30% advance or some OPEX. You understand why I'm saying that?
No, my question is whether we are, what I've understood that we are taking we've been very cautious in taking up assignments right now, and we are taking it on the basis of the credential of the company, isn't it, sir? Now, my question is, what are the, is there some basic factors which are, what we have to, while referring any cases to you, if there's any opportunity as such is there in case of IBBI, so that we can pre-screen right now at our end only prior to referring the case to you?
So as I told you, Sudarshan, two things you have to see. Either you should have the confidence on the company financial that, your fees will be paid ultimately, even if it goes to liquidation, there is some.
You mean to say the cash flow ought to be there in the company, or we need to ring face the COC that they have to pay from
yes.
source.
So fees is our critical point, right?
Fees is the critical point based upon which we can take up the assignment.
Correct. Because in IBBI, IBC cases, the only problem is that, fee is the main problem. It never comes, or, it is delayed till, beyond your expectations. So that is the only consideration we have.
Okay. And the assignments have been taken in the name of the individual valuer only?
So assignments, obviously, IBBI has, given a circular that, it has to be in the individual name. But
is this irrespective of the company being impaneled as a valuation company?
No, there is no empanelment for, see, IBBI, there is a registration for registered valuer entity.
Hmm.
So, okay, I'll just explain you know, what is the background in IBBI.
Hmm.
So for Companies Act and IBBI and for SEBI, to some
Hmm.
extent, you know, valuation has to be done by a registered valuer.
Hmm.
Now, IBBI has divided. So what is IBBI? So, you know, I'll just go back one step just so that everyone understands the concept and logic. So as Supriya has told you that, you know, valuation was something which was not a regulated business, you know, till some time. So government was always thinking of bringing valuation professionals to some regulated way.
But Sudhir bhai,
Hmm.
just sorry to interrupt. As per my best of information, it was regulated in the earlier occasion only.
Hmm.
Previously, chartered accountant and SEBI registered category 1 registered valuer can do the
Hmm.
valuation.
No, I'm just coming to that.
Hmm.
I'm saying there was no regulating body for valuers as such.
Okay.
So chartered accountants were, you know, regulated by ICAI.
Huh.
Merchant bankers were regulated by SEBI,
Yes.
and somewhere chartered accountants were doing valuation, somewhere merchant bankers were
Yes.
doing
Yes.
valuation. So government always wanted to have a single umbrella
Hmm.
regulator
Hmm.
over valuers. So this
Okay.
was the intent, right?
Yes.
So that is why, you know, Companies Act rules came into picture,
Hmm.
and IBBI was given the responsibility of being the regulator for valuers. Now,
For
as on date,
tangible asset, na?
no,
Or
no, no, no,
intangible,
no,
dono.
no. Let me.
Okay.
Sudarshan, just don't jump.
Okay.
If your questions are not answered after my statement is over, you will be most welcome to ask questions.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So there is a single umbrella IBBI which is, you know, regulating the valuers. As on date, all the valuers are still not covered by IBBI.
Hmm.
Over a period of time, all the valuers will be covered by IBBI. It may take 2 years, 3 years, 5 years time. I am not sure on that.
Hmm.
But the intent of the government is that any valuation done in India will be
Hmm.
done by a registered valuer. This is the objective.
Hmm.
It will be done in a later
Hmm.
stage. Now, IBBI has divided registered valuers into three categories.
Hmm.
They call it three asset classes.
Hmm.
One is land and building,
Hmm.
the other is plant and machinery,
Hmm.
and third is securities and financial assets.
Hmm.
These are the three asset classes under which valuation is being done.
Hmm.
Earlier, for land and building and plant and machinery, there were different valuers who were doing like, you know, you said, you know, chartered accountant and merchant bankers are doing for
Hmm.
securities and financial assets.
Hmm.
Similarly, for plant and machinery, land and building also, there were some valuers which were registered under Section 34.
Hmm.
Some were having some certificate of practice, some institute of valuers. So different kind of categories of valuers were still there in other asset classes also.
Hmm.
Now it has been put together under one umbrella of IBBI.
Hmm.
Now coming back to Resurgent.
Hmm.
So all the three asset classes, we have registered valuers.
Hmm.
We have valuers for plant and machinery. We have for land and building, and we have for securities and financial assets.
Hmm.
We have formed a company which Supriya mentioned, Resurgent Values Private Limited,
Hmm.
which is on the verge of getting registered with IBBI.
Hmm.
I think because of this particular lockdown, the process went slightly slow,
Hmm.
but as per last communication, Supriya, answer your question. I've seen your hand.
Hmm.
So for IBBI cases, we are giving our quote in the name of Registered Valuers Private Limited, but individually mentioning the names of the registered valuers, and those individual valuers will be signing in their name only. Now it is up to IP. He can pay the fee individually or up to the company. So we will not emphasize anything on that. It will be up to IP to do that. IB's concern is that IBBI's concern is that Every asset class valuation should be that particular asset class registered valuer only.
So my question is, what privileges we are going to get if we want to get it registered? If we want to get a valuation company registered with an IBBI, if we are getting if we can get an assignment right now also, and post that also we can get an assignment, an empanelment of valuer is empanelment would be of an individual valuer or it would be a company.
So there are 3 customers as such. If we speak on as on date, one will be IP, the other will be a bank, the third one will be a corporate. I'm just broadly classifying my customers. For an IP or an IBC case, it is still happening on individual basis. But banks, they are empaneling companies also, entities also. Then corporates, they are very much comfortable with the value entities rather than getting into individual basis. So there is a difference between IPE and RVE. So IPE cannot take assignment in its own name, but RVE can take assignment in its own name. This is what I wanted to clarify to you.
Okay.
Not for IBBA, for other purposes they can do.
Once we get
RVE, that is registered valuer entity, can also do other business also. They can provide advisory services also. It's not that they have to do only valuation.
Okay, the sole
this is not the sole objective. Correct.
Okay.
Sudarshan, ये थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा वाला हम अलग से कर लेंगे discussion. I think this is not for the larger audience.
The doubts have been cleared.
Okay, thank you so much. Rekha ma'am, you wanted to ask something.
Hello.
Yes,
yeah, I wanted to ask you, like you said that all valuations will be covered under the umbrella of IBBI. So what about like shares valuation or like compliance valuation required for the compliance purpose? Will it be covered under IBBI?
Okay. So what I said was that all the valuations ultimately will come under IBBI. Right now, it is only Companies Act, IBC, and some part of SEBI.
Okay.
Right? Other valuations are being done by merchant banker, chartered accountant as usual.
So for those valuation, we don't need to be registered as an IBBI.
Correct. Correct, ma'am.
Okay.
Now, Sunil sir has asked one question. I'll answer that first, then come to Sonal ma'am. He has asked why projections only for 5 years. Now the answer is that 5 years is not a sacrosanct figure. This is just a customary figure. She told you 5 years just for the sake of it. Otherwise, whether it has to be 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, there is just one answer. We have to take projections till the time the cash flows are stabilizing. So if the cash flows are stabilizing after 15 years, we have to take projections till 15 years.
And what is the discount rate? Discount rate, what do we follow the discount rate?
So discount rate is the required rate of return, ma'am. It is very simple. What is the expected rate of return? If a person wants to invest in a particular security or a particular asset, what is the required rate of interest, required rate of return? How it is calculated, okay. We can discuss that.
Okay.
So, Sonal ma'am, please ask.
Sir, one small thing I wanted to understand, that how would you value a company with negative historical cash flows? How do you take out the valuation there in that case? Because from the private equity perspective, when you're talking about all these online companies have been having a negative cash flow for years. So in these cases, how do you calculate the valuation and start from a private equity perspective?
Very good, ma'am. Very good questions you have asked. And in fact, it is not only historical. My life would have been easier if the future was positive.
I agree.
Correct. So even future is not positive. In the public document of Uber, it was written that they cannot give guarantee that, their cash flows would be positive any time in future. So from the private equity perspective, it is very simple. It is done on the basis of the exit they are seeing.
Okay.
that after 5 years, this will be an exit multiple, generally on the top line, and they discount that value by their required rate of return and arrive at what could be the value today. And generally, private equity investors are very smart. They are more investing in preference shares, which has liquidity preference, which is being converted later on. So they are, shielding themselves from failures also as much as possible.
Absolutely. As much as possible is the right word to use, because 100% they cannot.
Yes,
but
yes.
Because there has been a lot of investment which has been happening in all these companies. So still bleeding, past was also bleeding, the future also these guys don't project. So that was one big question, that in these cases how the valuation has been done. But I think it's clear now, sir. Right. Thank you.
Now, Ashim has asked one question: how much valuation process or approach is qualitative and how much is quantitative? So when we say qualitative, I say it's an art. When we say quantitative, I say it's a science. So whether valuation is art or science, this is a question people are trying to answer. But it is basically a mix of that. So it is not always number crunching, numbers are only there to help you. But the valuer should understand the real situation under which the valuation is being done. So that is why, all these 5 questions are important for the valuer also. Then only he can decide how to do it. So it is a mix of science and art. Now, Mr. Ashish has asked how to value real estate holding companies. Is it purely on the basis of projects in hand and land bank, or should we consider future projects in which company may acquire? So, sir, answer is very simple. It is purely on the base of land bank only. It is only on the base of land bank and current assets. No future projects can be considered, sir.
Anyone, any other questions?
Supriya, you have something else to discuss?
So we have discussed all the things that you've mentioned, sir. How, when, why. So you would like to add on to anything?
From the BD perspective, Supriya, if you can just discuss something, we still have some time.
Okay, so sir, I would like to discuss on certain credentials that we have, because from the BD perspective, that is very much required when we are.
So just one more question which has come up. What value addition we provide on debtors realization under restructuring? So I think this is not today's agenda. This question, this will be covered by Sudarshan on Thursday. Supriya.
Yes, sir. So like we need to speak to the clients regarding the kind of the clients we hold. So you can tell them that with respect to the real estate or the tangible assets valuation, we have done the valuations for Coursera India Cooperative Office. We have done it for Stay Vista, Hotel Formula One, Palm Green Hotels. Then we have done it for Oracle OSCA office at Saket. Then we have done the valuation for Gobson's Papers Limited. So that is for a banking perspective. So when we talk about a banking perspective is ki when a bank hires the valuer to evaluate the property when it is kept as a collateral for securitization purposes. Then we did the industrial assets valuation of Kartike Coal Washeries. We did it for Maharaja Agro Foods Limited. Then we did a lot of valuations for the portfolio valuation for IDFC Parampara. So this is one where we can say for the AIF, we can quote. We've done the equity valuations for Zomato, Policy Bazaar, numerous startups. When we talk about the fairness opinion, we have provided the fairness opinion to Balco for during the disinvestment of 49% paid up equity capital. For the valuations for the amalgamation or the business combination, we can quote the example for Karnataka Forest State Development Corporation Limited, where we have done the valuation to determine the share swap ratio. For the IPR valuations, we can quote the client for like Metal Impregnation India Limited, brand valuation SPS Steel Rollings Limited. Then for the FMV certificates, where we do the valuations for the perquisite taxation, we can quote the names like Seagate. For the bankers, we are in panel with Bank of Baroda for doing the valuation of investment securities assets. We have also provided the fairness opinion to National Spot Exchange Limited for the amalgamation aspect. Then apart from that, whenever a company is looking forward to raise an IPO, so again we do provide the valuations for the IPO, like we've done it for SRS Cinemas, Vikram Solar, V-Mart. In the real estate front, we have done the valuations for M3M. We have done it for other players. So these are certain clientage list which we can quote to the clients. We have been pitching the valuations for the IBBI front again to the IRPs and RPs. We have been doing the valuations for the restructuring aspects. For Zuari, we have been doing it. Then ESOP valuations we have done. So we can keep on quoting a lot many credentials to the clients as a pitching aspect. I'll be sharing this list of the clientele with everyone so that it's handy with you. And in addition to that, I'll be sharing the write-up where a registered valuer valuation is required and where a merchant banker is required.
Supriya ji, sorry to interrupt. Can you let me understand three USP points for our valuation department? Apart from clientele, whatever being stated by you. Only 3 points, 3 USP points which we can remember day in, day out if we want to pitch valuation to any client. Why valuation to be conducted by Resurgent?
Okay, so we hold an impeccable record that stating that none of our reports have ever
Supriya ji, you need to be very precise with facts and figures. Please don't give general statements. Impactable fee. This adjective.
This is not a general statement, Sudarshan. What she's saying with authority. Okay. This is a very specific statement she is making, with keeping everything in mind. What she's saying is, see, client is worried, right? That if this report is there, whether the quality is good or not, whether I will be questioned or not. So what she's saying is, none of our reports we have received even a single query by any of the regulators. This is what she wanted to say.
Okay.
This is the statement she is making.
Okay.
Secondly, the turnaround time.
First one you can repeat.
So we hold an impeccable record. None of our reports have ever been questioned by any of the authorities or any of the government. So that is one thing. So that way we hold a lot of investors' confidence also.
So whether we can add the number of reports also, how many reports we have conducted?
So generally every year we are doing close to 300 reports, you can say that.
But till now, how many we have done?
More than 500, I would say, around 1,000. So I don't have the exact figure. So
yeah, okay, done.
That can be, we can dig out that figure. That's not a problem. So every month, actually, frankly speaking, every month we are doing close to 20-30. So one report every day we are doing. So close to 300 reports every year. Sonal ma'am, you want to ask something? There are a couple of questions, somebody asked me privately also. So I'm just wondering whether to answer privately or in forum. So I'll just think over it and come back to you. Please.
Can I ask now, sir? We can take it later. I basically wanted to understand when we are doing IPO advisory part of it. So what is the scope of work? So probably, I would request Supriya or anybody can share with us the scope of work for the IPO advisory part of it. That would be helpful because there are a lot of queries which keep coming on IPO side. So we just wanted to understand from the BD perspective, what is the scope of work for us?
Wonderful, ma'am. So we can discuss it offline if you want.
Absolutely, no problem.
So we have already done for Vikram Solar some time back, and we are also receiving those queries, and we are working on that. So ma'am, I think we can sit on this. So this is a good opportunity which is there, ma'am.
Absolutely, because there are a lot of queries which keep coming on the IPO side. So we generally tell people हम IPO बेच नहीं सकते हैं, but बाकी advisory का काम हम लोग कर
करेक्ट है
लेंगे.
मैम, पूरा कंप्लायंस कर सकते हैं, उसका DRH भी प्रिपरेशन तक का सारा काम कर सकते हैं मैम.
हाँ, so I would request after this session in
एक
case
साल,
you
2
can
साल, 3
just
साल की तैयारी भी
share
करवा
the-
सकते हैं उनके. जी
हाँ,
मैम.
सिर्फ मेरे साथ थोड़ा सा scope of work एक बार share कर लेंगे, so that will be helpful for us.
करेक्ट है.
Right, sir. Sure. Thank you.
So Manish and Dinesh have asked me question. So Dinesh has asked, how is resurgent valuation firm help in our existing IBC cases? तो ये मेरे ख्याल है हम लोग प्राइवेटली डिस्कस कर लेंगे, ये मतलब लार्जर डोमेन में इसका जरूरत नहीं है. We can discuss that. And Manish has asked how intangible assets are valued. So intangible asset, again, it depends what kind of intangible it is. But the point is that again, there are only 3 approaches: income, cost, and market. If you ask me about the specific method, so generally 2 methods are prevalent. One is the excess earning method, and the other one is the relief from royalty method. So these are the basic 2 methods. Manish, if you have interest in this, personally you can call me, we can discuss those methods in detail, because this may not be the right forum to discuss those methods in detail, plus we are running short of time. Now a very good question, it is being asked, how debt BD can help in sourcing the valuation mandate. So sir, I think valuation debt BD has already given us some mandates, and they are really working on that. And this is a reason why we have conducted this seminar, this particular training session also, so that we are close to each other. And more intent is shown by the debt BD team. I'm not saying that they have not shown the intent. They have always shown the intent. And believe my word, sir, valuation BD team and debt BD team have always worked very closely. Sonal ma'am, am I right or wrong, sir?
110%.
There is absolutely no friction, nothing in that. Now, what type of clients are most likely to give us the mandate? So as on date, sir, it is mostly the startups and large and corporates where there are larger number of companies which they have incorporated, where there is a fresh issuance which is happening again and again, because maximum number of our clients as on date are for section 56 valuation, that is the income tax for fresh issuance of shares on premium, as well as for registered value for the same purpose. So now, one thing which I feel we have not broken into is the real estate clients, as pointed out by Jyoti ji. We have recently done one M3M valuation, 3-4 valuation they gave us. Beyond that, I think we have not been able to make inroads in real estate sector. We have done for Fire Capital some of their investments. We have done for Zender also for their investments. So infra clients, so I'll cover real estate first. So real estate is actually a very big opportunity. Sonal ma'am, you need to help us in that. And also the execution team, Rekha ma'am,
Sure, sir.
Rahul ji, because
Yes,
you guys have those relationship.
What kind of valuation did you do in M3M? Can I know that?
वो शेयर इशुएंस के लिए किया था मैम.
Okay.
शेयर इशुएंस के लिए, शेयर इशुएंस और शेयर ट्रांसफर के लिए जरूरत पड़ता है, और इन लोगों ने ग्रुप कंपनीज बहुत सारी बना रखी होती हैं.
हाँ, सारी रियल एस्टेट कंपनीज में बहुत सारा वो स्ट्रक्चर होता है.
तो वो शेयर इशू भी करते रहते हैं और ट्रांसफर भी करते रहते हैं मैम. थोड़ा सा चैलेंज आता है उसमें, क्योंकि वो अपनी कैपिटल गेन प्लानिंग के लिए कुछ फेवर हमसे चाहते हैं जो हम हमेशा कर नहीं पाते हैं. थोड़ा चैलेंज आता है, क्योंकि कुछ मर्चेंट बैंकर कर देते होंगे पर हम नहीं कर पाते. जब हमारे को दिखता है कि वो बिल्कुल ही कैपिटल गेन प्लानिंग के लिए कर रहा है तो हम मना कर देते हैं.
सुधीर भैया
सर एक छोटी सी
एक
हेल्प
मिनट
चाहिए होगी
ज्योति भैया के
आपसे।
4-5 क्वेश्चन है, मेरे को एक एक करके आंसर, बॉस है यार, बॉस के आंसर पहले करना होता है, बाकी लोग को बाद में आंसर कर दूं। तो इंफ्रा क्लाइंट्स के लिए सर बात कर रहे हैं, रियल एस्टेट का आई थिंक आई हैव ट्राइड टू आंसर। इंफ्रा के लिए वो बात कर रहे हैं, तो इंफ्रा के अंदर बहुत बड़ा अपॉर्चुनिटी शायद उतना है नहीं, वहां पे अपॉर्चुनिटी हमारे लिए ज्यादा है, जहां पे नंबर ऑफ कंपनीज ज्यादा है। वॉल्यूम की बात कर रहा हूं सर, मैं किसी भी क्लाइंट को ये नहीं कह रहा कि वो क्लाइंट नहीं हो सकता। अब एनबीएफसी रिलेशन की जहां तक आप बात कर रहे हैं, ऑब्वियसली एनबीएफसी का डोमेन अब हमारे लिए बहुत बड़ा हो गया है सर। एनबीएफसी, बैंक्स, एआरसी, सबका डोमेन हमारे लिए बड़ा हो गया है, क्योंकि हम लोगों ने अब टेंजिबल एसेट का प्रैक्टिस स्टार्ट कर दिया है। So guy, I think we have missed that point. We have not been doing tangible asset valuation since till now, but we have already started doing that. तो एनबीएफसी की रिलेशनशिप एक्चुअली बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो गई है, लेकिन हमारे को एनबीएफसी वही चाहिए जो इंस्टीट्यूशनल लैंडिंग कर रही हैं सर। रिटेल लैंडिंग वाले काम में अभी हम जाना नहीं चाहते उसके वैल्यूएशन के लिए। सोनल मैम, ज्योति सर अगर आंसर ठीक से हो गए हो तो ओके कर दीजिएगा, नहीं तो अगला क्वेश्चन पूछ लीजिएगा सर।
अच्छा सर, मैं M3M में जो हम लोगों ने अभी इसको काम किया है उसका थोड़ा सा कुछ भी राइट अप मिल सकता है फॉर मी टू अंडरस्टैंड whenever I have to
यस
to the real estate guys?
मैम, हम आपस में बिल्कुल डिस्कस कर लेंगे, उस पर
हाँ,
राइट अप भी
मतलब
मिल जाएगा
ये
सब कुछ। यस,
एक दो चीजें सिर्फ मैं आपको मेल पे भी डाल दूंगी, प्लीज शेयर विद अस सो दैट यू नो एट लीस्ट फ्यूचर वी आर प्रिपेयर्ड व्हाट टू डिस्कस विद दीस काइंड ऑफ क्लाइंट्स।
करेक्ट। नाउ नीतू हैज आस्क्ड, आर वी empaneled with banks for valuation purposes? So ma'am, we are just waiting for our license to come. That is number one, because we want our empanelment to be under registered valuer name. Number two, mergers are happening in the bank, so we are waiting for that. So I think just wait for some time. So you will also be given responsibility to handle the south region. So Jyoti sir asked, what is, please explain about tangible valuation. So tangible is basically your fixed asset as such, land and building and plant and machinery. And the opportunity, the larger opportunity in tangible valuation lies with IPs, that is under IBC, and also with banks, because banks are, you know, are taking collateral security and lending against these tangible assets only. So banks are getting the collateral valued, and also ARCs, again NBFCs. So in terms of you know what kind of a valuer is required, IBC registered valuer is there. For banks, it is either a registered valuer or section 34 wealth tax valuer also. But अभी जो छोटा वाला वैल्यूएशन है जो होम लोन वगैरह का है वो सेक्शन 34 वगैरह से करा रहे हैं, और फैक्ट्री लैंड एंड बिल्डिंग वगैरह का जो वैल्यूएशन है वो रजिस्टर्ड वैल्यूअर से करा रहे हैं। सरफेसी के अंदर एक मिनट, आई आंसर दैट। सरफेसी के अंदर अभी भी सेक्शन 34 वैल्यूअर ही यूज होता है सर, वो टाइम के साथ चेंज हो जाएगा शायद। आर वी एम्पैनल्ड विद होम मैम? रेखा मैम?
For normal, for fundraising also, all the banks they get the valuation done from their empaneled valuers.
मैम अभी
So
उसका मैंने
like
आंसर
how
किया था, अभी मैंने नीतू ने पूछा था क्वेश्चन, उसका मैंने आंसर किया था मैम 2 मिनट पहले।
थोड़ा सा बीच में, हाँ ठीक,
कोई बात नहीं। उसका आंसर ये है कि अभी हमारा ना लाइसेंस आने वाला है, तो हम कंपनी को एम्पैनल कराना चाह रहे हैं, और दूसरा ये कि अभी बैंकों का मर्जर वगैरह भी हो रहा है, तो सिचुएशन अभी थोड़ी सी फ्लूइड है वहां भी। पर हम वेट तो अपने लाइसेंस का ही कर रहे हैं।
ठीक है,
एक बार लाइसेंस आ जाएगा तो हम सारे बैंक्स में एग्रेसिवली एम्पैनलमेंट के लिए अपना काम करेंगे, और आप सभी लोगों का हेल्प चाहिए होगा उसमें।
ठीक है।
What is the full form of IP? IP is insolvency professional. IP is insolvency professional. This will be covered in detail on Thursday. Sonal ma'am, you have another question?
No sir, nothing.
Ma'am, you can lower your hand, ma'am, then.
I'm sorry, by mistake हो गया होगा sir. I'll do that.
Okay.
सुधीर भैया एक क्वेश्चन है,
Please.
कि
What is the hard stop time, ma'am?
after my
I
question?
think, sir, another 5 minutes if we
Okay,
can do that,
10:40.
please.
10:40. Yes,
Yeah.
Sudarshan.
मेरा एक क्वेश्चन ये है कि जैसे कि अपने बोल रहे हैं कि अपने वैल्यूएशन कर रहे हैं और अपने दूसरे एक्टिविटीज भी दूसरा भी अपने कर रहे हैं, दूसरा सर्विसेज भी प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं, तो क्या कहीं पर कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट कुछ होता है इसमें बोल के?
नहीं, मैंने ये बोला कि हम दूसरा सर्विस प्रोवाइड कर सकते हैं, मैंने ये नहीं बोला कि हम कर
नहीं, मैं बोल रहा हूँ
रहे
जैसे
हैं।
आपने कोई अपने ऑलरेडी कहीं पर डेट सिंडिकेशन कर रहे हैं तो वहां पर वैल्यूएशन कर सकते हैं क्या?
नहीं, सुनिए, पहली बात ये कि हम रजिस्टर्ड वैल्यूअर एंटिटी तो सही रहने वाले हैं।
हाँ, एकदम
ठीक है। दूसरी बात, अगर आपने पूछा कि रजिस्टर्ड, अगर रिसर्जेंट इंडिया कहीं पे सिंडिकेशन कर रहा है तो क्या मैं उसकी वैल्यूएशन करूंगा? आंसर इज नो, आई विल नॉट डू इट, एब्सोल्युटली नो, वी विल नॉट डू इट। कहीं लिखा भी होगा कि वो कर सकता है तो भी नहीं करूंगा।
ओके।
जैसे हम लोग टीवी भी नहीं करते ना, टीवी अवॉइड करते हैं।
अखिलेश ने पूछा है, इफ अ इंफ्रा कंपनी incorporates a new company for a specific project for say 15 years and it is required to infuse equity in phased manner, is valuation required? Answer is yes, very much required. Ravi, you want to ask some question?
Yes, sir. Sir, I just wanted to ask you, will it be possible to share one valuation report for each asset classes so that we get a brief idea how the report is prepared, what are contents of it, and other information related to the report?
We'll discuss internally and then share with you.
Okay, sir.
Supriya, please note down this question of Ravi. We have to deliberate on that, please. Other things also, because I have not noted down things. So,
sir, I'm writing it down, sir.
Please.
So I think we have missed Vineet's question. He has asked, do we provide valuation for the income tax department?
Acha, we have missed some question.
Yes, sir. It was only Vineet's question, I guess so.
So Vineet, your question is, answer is yes, we can do that, but we have not received such opportunity, right? And we have not maintaining relationship with income tax departments. If you can, get us some mandate from the income tax department, we'll be very happy to do that. Thank you, Vineet. Now, when we began this session, I set an objective that we will be able to answer 5 questions, 5 basic questions. मेरे ख्याल 5 ही क्वेश्चन होते हैं, छठा क्वेश्चन शायद होता नहीं है. One is what is valuation? Number 2, why valuation is done? Number 3, who can do it or who requires it? Number 4, how it is done? And number 5, when it is done. So if we are able to answer your all 5 questions, good. If something is left, you can send a mail to me or Supriya or any of the valuation team members. We'll surely try to answer your questions on that. The session was, conducted for 2 reasons. One was for everybody's individual development, as I said earlier. And the other one was to bring more business to Resurgent India. That was the intent, that was my part. I wanted that. आप लोगों के लिए ये था कि आप नॉलेज गेन करिए, मेरे लिए ये है कि आप मेरे लिए बिजनेस लाइए. तो मुझे लगता है मैं कुछ बिजनेस एक्सपेक्ट कर सकता हूं आप सभी लोगों से. देखिए, आप आज के 73 पार्टिसिपेंट्स हैं आज. इसमें से मैं अगर वैल्यूएशन टीम के लोग निकाल दूंगा तो भी आई विल हैव और कुछ ऐसे लोग जो ऑलरेडी इस पे काम कर रहे हैं निकाल भी दूं तो भी 60 लोग ऐसे होंगे जो शायद वैल्यूएशन पहली बार डिस्कस कर रहे होंगे या रिसर्जेंट के वैल्यूएशन के बारे में पहली बार सोच रहे होंगे। ये जो 60 लोग हैं, अगर थोड़ा सा भी एफर्ट करेंगे ना, बहुत ज्यादा नहीं, बहुत थोड़ा सा भी, कम से कम एक वैल्यूएशन रिसर्जेंट इंडिया के लिए इजीली ला सकते हैं। देखिए हमारा प्रोडक्ट ना उतना ज्यादा कॉम्प्लेक्स भी नहीं है और बहुत ज्यादा वाइड डिमांड में भी है। बहुत लोगों को इसकी रिक्वायरमेंट रहती है, ऑलमोस्ट हर किसी को रहती है। तो अगर थोड़ा सा भी एफर्ट करेंगे तो मुझे लगता है कि सब लोग एक एक मैंडेट ला सकते हैं। अगर मेरी स्टेटमेंट गलत है कि एक एक मैंडेट नहीं ला सकते हैं तो चैट बॉक्स में नो टाइप कर दीजिएगा, ताकि मैं अपना ऑब्जेक्टिव सेट कर लूं कि मुझे कितने मैंडेट आने वाले हैं अगले 2 महीने के अंदर, अगले 1 क्वार्टर के अंदर। चलिए मैं 1 क्वार्टर का टारगेट रखता हूं। Everybody is listening to me. So there is one more thing which has come up, is that could any PPT be provided regarding valuation so that we can understand it properly, or if required we can explain it to someone? I think we can share the profile or the capability statement, of course. And in terms of methodologies and all, yes, we can share that with you guys, how it is done. अनुराग जी ने बड़ा अच्छा क्वेश्चन पूछा है कि आशिम ने भी पूछा है, प्लीज शेयर द फी एक्सपेक्टेड फॉर अ वैल्यूएशन। तो इसका बहुत सिंपल सा जवाब है, अभी थोड़ा म्यूट कर दीजिए प्लीज आप लोग। 2 मिनट में कंक्लूड कर रहे हैं, 2 मिनट में कंक्लूड कर रहे हैं प्लीज। इतना अच्छा सेशन गया है, सबने म्यूट पे ही रखा है। तो फीस की जहां तक बात है, वो फीस की बात सिंपल है कि इट इज ऑल केस टू केस बेसिस, सो आई एम नॉट प्रोवाइडिंग एनी नंबर एज सच। वो केस टू केस बेसिस होगा, मुझसे डिस्कस कर लीजिएगा पर्सनली।
एंड टाइमलाइन
भी केस टू केस बेसिस है मैम। हम एक दिन में भी रिपोर्ट बना के देते हैं, किसी रिपोर्ट में 15 दिन भी लगता है मैम। एक सिंपल वैल्यूएशन की रिक्वायरमेंट अगर क्लाइंट बोलेगा कि मुझे कल तक चाहिए तो करके दे देंगे। इंफॉर्मेशन मेरे पास होगी और सिंपल कंप्लायंस की रिपोर्ट होगी तो एक दिन में करके दे देंगे मैम।
ठीक है, ठीक है।
I'm getting a very good response. People are very positive, you know, that they'll be able to bring some business to us. Sonal ma'am, we can conclude now.
Absolutely, sir. Very good session. Thank you so much, sir, and Supriya, for taking us through the valuation process. Really look forward to working on it.
One more thing, you know, if you guys have some suggestion with respect to any other session on a specific subject, we have time, guys. We can do that also. So please put those suggestions. Then we'll see. ठीक है जी। ज्योति भैया 10:45 hard stop. We are stopping at 10:44. Thank you so much for being present. Your presence matters a lot to everyone here, sir. Because everyone gets a message.
Excellent presentation.
Everyone gets a message that this is very important for them and for the organization.
Absolutely, it's very, very important, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks everyone. Thanks everyone for being.
Thank you, sir.
Very good. Thank you so much. Great session. All the best, team.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, just we have an 11 o'clock webinar also in case anybody would like to attend. Then also we have around 4 o'clock another webinar also. please follow the activity group. All the webinars that we are doing, we are posting it in the group. If anybody would like to attend those also, so you can just plan your calendar accordingly. Thank you,
Okay.
team. Bye bye.
Okay, sir. Thank you.